So how many of you were here last year? So you remember that I was talking about the online education initiative last year and the fact that I was working on, the grant had just been, I think, awarded. I had to ask somebody, where were we in time when I was here last year? And the grant had just been awarded to Foothill and Butte, and primarily Foothill De Anza District, and that I would be working in some way with that group. And that was in this time of year, I think. And what ended up happening was I started working with them in March doing professional development. I got an email from Joe Moreau, who's the sponsor from Foothill, and he said, this was on a Thursday, and it said, Pat, we need an executive director, not an executive director, what was it, a director of professional development. Can you start Monday? Yeah. And I went, okay, sure, I can do that. I had retired in January. And I was doing some consulting. I was having a pretty good time, actually, doing some consulting, and nice and easy, and from my home. And so I said, okay, I can do PD for a little while as part of the launch team. They had this concept of a launch team. So I started in March. I was hired as the executive director in July. Don't ask me how that happened. I must have done it while I was sleeping or something. I don't know. I woke up and I was the executive director and went, oh my gosh, now what? What do I do? I want to talk to you a little bit about what that experience is like. And I don't think there's one word that encapsulates it other than you have to be a bit insane to do this. So I think I probably am. And one of the questions that Linda Thor, who's the chancellor of the Foothill De Anza District, asked me in the second interview was, what qualifications do you have to be the executive director of the OEI? And I said, I'm crazy. And does insanity count? And she said, absolutely, it's necessary. So that's part of it. People are asking me, why you retired? Why did you do this? And I realized I couldn't sit on the sidelines for this. My whole career has been about distance education. It's something that I care about. Most of you who know me know that the reason I got involved in DE was because I wanted us to take what we do in our face-to-face classes and bring that quality to our online courses as well. Because the community college saved my life. You know that. I think most of you have heard me say that before, and it probably has saved some of your lives too, and some of the lives of your kids and your family members. And I wanted what we do in that face-to-face environment to be in the online environment. That's why I got involved. Okay? The reason that I was pulled in was because the vice president of instruction at my college said, we need a CBC mentor, you're the multimedia person, and you can do this job. And I went, I don't know anything about online teaching. Well, that's okay. Nobody else does either. And you know what? He was right. We didn't know. We didn't know. So, I keep finding myself in these situations where I am moving in a direction that isn't really one that I've planned. But absolutely, it was planned for me somehow. And, I followed a path, and that path has taken me to where I am. And I have to remind myself every day. That's what happened, and it's okay. And one of the things that I want you to know is I want to bring the experience that I had as an online teacher, and the experience I had as a dean of distance learning, the experience I had at being on the executive committee for the Academic Senate, the experience of being a California Community College student, bring those things to this work. And so if I ever forget how I learned something, or if I ever forget how I taught things in my classroom, then I shouldn't be doing this work. And so if you see me getting crazy and doing really dumb things like being too executive director-ish, you should tell me. Just remind me of my beginnings and where I came from. Because if we forget, we're not going to bring that important piece to our students. One of the things you see up here is that tagline, access, quality, and completion. I made that up. I didn't ask anybody. I didn't say, do you mind if I use this? Because that was me being the executive director. Occasionally some things come out like that, and it's like, it comes out because, no, we're not compromising some things. And that's really what the OEI is about. It's about access, it's about quality, and it's about completion. I'd like you to do something right now. I hope you have something to write with. You can use your phone and notes in your phone or whatever you want to do. But I'd like you to make 2 lists. Okay? And I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do it. The first list is, by the way, how many of you have taught online for more than 2 years? Wow, most of you. Okay, cool. So you'll be able to do this. If you haven't taught online very long, you should do this too. Your list is going to be a lot longer. Okay? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to first write, if you could have anything you needed to be an effective online teacher, what would it be? Make a list of the things you need to be an effective online teacher. Don't worry about whether you have them or not. Just think about the things that you need. The second list, because I'm going to give you a little bit of time to do both, is what do your students need to be successful online students? So you've got 2 lists, and you're going to take a little bit of time to do that just quietly by yourself. You get a prize for the longest list. No, you need stuff. You must need something. What kind? What kind of job? I'm a teacher. Think I'm going to let you get away with that? Yeah. Got your list started, take a couple of minutes to talk to the people that are sitting in the same row as you about what you have on your list. Just take a couple of minutes to talk to each other about what you have. And I want you to underline or circle or somehow note what you'd like to have as opposed to what you do have. So you know what you'd like to have. Talk about that for a few minutes and then just kind of note the things that you don't have that are on there. Just things you'd like to have, but you don't have them.
Well, I started off with Stephen, he's really young, and I said that, well, first thing they need
This is the way I get to not do anything and just let you do it. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right, can I have your attention? Hello? Okay. Hello, getting you back is tough. That means either you don't have a lot of stuff, or you do have a lot of stuff, or you know what your students need, or all of those things are sort of mixed up. How many of you would say that you're pretty well covered in this district for support? And you should just turn around and not let them know.
They should see all that.
Okay. You are. I don't know. Can we turn it up? Do you guys turn it up, or do I turn it up?
Too much.
That's as high as we can go.
Okay. I can speak louder. I have 5 kids. They don't listen. Oh, never mind. So as a district, you guys have a lot of support. Probably more than most districts. I always envied the fact that you had instructional design support, because a lot of colleges don't have instructional design support. It's expensive. It's hard to come by. You guys have that. You've also had quite a cohesive plan for a long time, and a program with all the pieces in it that you need. Those things are critical to the foundation for your program. Why I asked you to do this is because as I start to talk to you about the OEI, I want you to start thinking of mentally kind of clicking off the things that we're going to cover that people are going to be able to have because of the OEI, okay, that they don't have now. And if we can find the things from you all that we're not thinking about, you can say, oh, hey, this is on my list, but you didn't think about this, then let's do that. So in a little while, I'm going to ask you to come back to these lists, and we're going to find out what are the things that I didn't talk about that you're wishing we had, so that I can take that information back. Because as much as I want to give you information about the OEI, I also want to take some stuff back and know what you think as well. Okay? How many of you feel like your list was really, really short about what you need? Really short. And is it because you already have it? Okay. And what about what your students need? Was the list really short? Was that list longer?
Yes.
Longer. So the one thing your students need is longer. Okay. What we did was we took a look at, or what I did actually when I got involved with this, and I got involved at the writing of the grant, the RFA, was I thought, as a teacher, what did I need that I never had? What could we do? What could we put together that we don't have all in one place? You may have a really great accessibility person at your college. You have a really good one here. Or you may have someone, you may have 4 people doing captioning for you. You know that you have that covered. But you may not, and most people don't. As a matter of fact, captioning is one of the hardest things to get done. It's not that it's hard. It's just you have to do it. Okay, so you have to figure out, how do I get it to DECT? Who do I go through? Where do I find out? How do I send this thing off? Or do I have to do it myself? And those things are hard to do. So sometimes, and I would bet for all of you, that there is a point in time where you think, I want to put this video in my class. It's going to take me 2 hours to caption it. I'd like it there day after tomorrow.
Good luck.
So you know what? I think it's a great video. My students would really like it, but I'm not going to use it because I can't get this done. Those are the things that I was starting to think about as I took over this position, was what is it that we could offer, that we could do for people that they were having trouble doing? And for me as a teacher, that was one of those things that I was having trouble with. I didn't have a lot of issues with making things because I was a multimedia person. All right, but there were still some things. I hated Flash, and I wanted some Flash stuff. Well, you know, it's not accessible, and there's all this other stuff. But I wanted this interactive stuff, and I didn't know what kind of tools to use. Even though I taught multimedia production, I didn't know what tools to use. I ended up getting a master's degree in instructional design so I'd have the tools. I still didn't know what tools to use, okay? Because it's not just one person. It's not just me knowing what to pull out at the toolbox to use. It's me talking to somebody else who might say, try doing it this way. I may have a problem, something I want to teach online that I don't know how to teach online, and I need some help with it. It isn't going to happen if I stay in my own head with it, because I've already thought of all the things I'm going to think about around that problem. So from there, now I need to talk to you and say, I want to do this lesson online, and I don't know how to do it. What do you think? And you might come up with something I hadn't thought about because your brain is different. Thank you. And you're lucky, trust me. And you know, by putting our ideas together, we could come up with that thing, but then someone still has to build it. And it's going to take about 5 hours to build it, maybe longer. And I want it 4 days from now. So I don't think I'll do it. So I think maybe what I'll do is I'll see if the publisher has it. And the publisher has it. It's not exactly what I want. This is not how I would teach it. But I'll use it because I don't have the 5 hours to put in to build it. I don't know about you, but publisher materials are okay, but they fall short very often. And I have to add something to them, or I have to change the order in which they're given, or I have to do something to make it fit the needs of my student and my style of teaching as well. Because we're in a partnership with our student when we're teaching. It's not the technology and it's not the publisher materials. It's how you use all of those things and how you put yourself into it and you connect with the teacher. With the student. That's how it works. So I started thinking about those things that I wanted and never had as a teacher. The things that made my class less than it could be. Well, when you start thinking about those things, you start looking at, well, how are we doing with success and retention in our classes? Not very well. Okay. We're okay, and we're watching it kind of eke its way up. But it's not going like this. We are the California Community Colleges. We've been doing credit online classes for a decade. How come it's just going like this and not like this? Okay, I want to know, why isn't it shooting up? Okay, because we don't have all these pieces. We haven't been collaborating the way we could. We haven't had the money. Nobody cared about us. We didn't have the attention of people we needed. Okay. Nobody cared about what we were doing. As a matter of fact, people were trying to stop us. And I've talked to some of you this morning where people are trying to stop you from doing what you want to do online because they don't like it. They think it's terrible. They think that you can't connect with your students. And none of that's true. It's about access. When we got into this, and you can go to, I can use a slide. Whoa. When we got into this, and I talked to you about this last year, when we got into this, it was because we were in a downturn and we were turning away students. And the forecast was, we'll go back one. The forecast was, this was in the newspaper, 670,000 students would be turned away from classes. And that was in 2011-12. It turned out there was about 400,000. Where'd they go, by the way? Okay, because are we turning away students now? I don't know about you guys. Are you turning away students now? I don't think so either. Okay, you're probably pretty close to be. I would guess your district's probably close to being flat, but I'm not positive about that. I should have checked. Where we were then, when Coursera and edX and the MOOCs were coming along, and there were these big classes, and Governor Brown thought, yeah, we could make those classes work for our students who can't get to courses, and of course we could not, because there were so many things about them that weren't ready for our students, and they weren't our style of teaching, and that whole piece about bringing us and keeping us in the online wasn't going to happen there the way it was. I think it can, actually. I'm surprised. We've done the MOOC now, and it's in its 7th. The one we did is in its 6th offering. We've learned a lot. It reaches a lot of people, but it's not what we do in our online courses here. It's not the way that we teach our students. Anyway, when all of that was happening, we were in bad shape. We're not in bad shape anymore. Okay, so now we have the money to take care of this problem, but we don't have the problem. Okay, that's my problem. Okay, so now I come along and go, oh my gosh, they've given us the money to provide access for distance education, and we don't have this issue of too many students and not enough classes. Now there's a bunch of classes and not enough students because they went somewhere. The 400,000 are not going to sit around and wait for us. They went somewhere. They've got jobs, they left the state, they went to private schools. They're coming back, and they're going to come back a bit. So this idea of the exchange came up, which was a big part of the OEI. And the exchange is, you're at Los Rios College, and you have a bunch of students who need English. And that's all they need to go on. And they can't get it because you don't have enough English classes. And then there's a bunch of classes at Lake Tahoe. And they have open seats in English. So if we could take the students from Los Rios and have them take the classes online from Lake Tahoe, they could complete. That's where that completion came in, that idea about completion. The governor's idea was we have to provide access to online learning so students can complete. That's the problem they're having. That problem still exists. And it exists for a variety of reasons. It exists because we have classes that are the high-end classes and we don't have enough students to make the class go. And we have this capstone class that really can't make at Shasta, and they only have 4 students, and there's 15 students at Sacramento who could take it, and another 7 students here who could take it, but nobody can make that class work. French 4, something like that. Why not offer that one online, where students can take it from wherever they want to take it? Trust me, they're doing that now. Okay, what students do now is they apply at another college and take the course and then they take their transcripts and send it back to the college they started with. But they have to go through all this stuff. They don't get the financial aid issue. So if they're low in units in financial aid and they have these other units, they have a hard time getting those to count for their financial aid. Okay, there's a lot of issues. They may have passed the assessment test at your college and they want to take a class at your college, but you have different cut scores. What are they going to do? So they're retaking it, both colleges. All of this stuff was happening all when we were trying to figure out, what do we do? What are the pieces then that should remain if we don't really need that, that exchange as much as we thought we did? We need it for some things, but we don't need it as much as we thought. What remains? What is it that we want to do then? We have money. What can we do? We've been asked to provide access for completion. So what can we do? Why is it that you can't put another English class online at your own college? What are some of the reasons you think? Yeah. FTE maybe, but maybe you have enough students for half the class. So there's another college somewhere who has enough students for half the class. So let's put that together. See if we can't do it. What else? Yeah. That's a big one, and that's that's something that takes education. How do you get people to understand what you're doing? To tell them about what it is that you're doing. The other issues too. So if we want to put an English class online, we don't have a faculty member to do it. That's a problem. We don't have a trained faculty member. That's a problem. We don't have an instructional designer to help us build the shell. That's a problem. We don't even know what kind of standards we should have for a class. That's a problem. Okay, those are the kinds of things that I take a look at and I say that stops access for students to the courses they need for completion. I'm also really interested in seeing that our students who are in our online classes stay, that they don't drop those classes. That's a waste of our time and a waste of money, and it doesn't make us look good. We're really good at what we do. Students have problems because they get into the wrong class, or they're not ready for online, there's all this kind of stuff that happens. So if we look at the changing landscape of the need right now, and I don't know how many have been around for more than 10 years in a community college system. Okay, so here's what happens. We've got money. 3 or 4 years later, we don't have money. 3 or 4 years later, we start to have money. 3 or 4 years later, we don't have money. It's a cycle, right? So we're not, hopefully, please don't put us back where we were 2 years ago ever again. However, we probably will be in a down cycle at some point. The exchange will be there, ready to go. So we can just kick it into gear, higher gear, if we need to. We run it as we need it for what we need it for, and then if we need it more, we can gear it up for that. But we have to have the training for the faculty. We have to be able to talk to people about online. We have to prove that it works. And that means the success and retention rates have to go up. So the OEI comes along. So that's what I'm thinking about now. I'm trying to shift gears from that piece of, making it be all of our students having access to courses they can't get, with a lot of colleges over cap not chasing FTE. Now the reverse is happening. There are a lot of colleges chasing FTE. At the time that this started, there were 20 who were not at capacity. And I would say now, I don't even know, but we're trying to find out how many. And it's hard to tell because the data is like 18 months old, so it's really hard to know. But when I talk to people, most of the colleges are chasing FTE now. And so we're in a different situation, so we have to make the best of what we're doing. And I won't take too long because I want to give you guys some time for questions. So let's see what else I had here because I could forget what I put up here. I hate PowerPoint. So this is what we got, for those of you who don't know. We got $56.9 million over 5 years. And take a look at that first one, $16.9 million from December through June. Could you spend $16.9 million in 6 months? You could at home. I could spend it at home because I can spend it on anything I want at home, except what my husband doesn't want me to spend it on. But I could spend it on, and then I have all these kids. But anyway, think about your college and how fast does it work to spend that kind of money. Takes a heck of a lot longer than 6 months. Okay, and the planning alone, unless you want us to spend it like we used to do, where it gets to the end of the year and your dean comes to you and says, I got $4,000, can you spend it today? Oh yeah, and you think of whatever comes up, and it might not be any good. Yeah, you want to make sure that you got your planning in place too, so we've been planning. A lot of planning happened in that first year. So that $16.9 million, we probably have spent, I don't want to guess, but nowhere near. Okay. We will have, July 1st of this year, we got another 10. Okay. What we're buying with that is tools and services. Probably all the ones that are on your lists, as a matter of fact. Those are the things we're doing. That's what we're buying. We're looking at a common course management system, which is a statewide course management system. And I'm here to tell you we've already chosen one, and you didn't have any say in it. That's the rumor anyway. And depending on where you are, the rumor is we've chosen Blackboard, or the rumor is we've chosen Moodle, or the rumor is we've chosen Etudes, or the rumor is we've chosen something else that hasn't been, but we've chosen. Guess what? We have not chosen. Okay, we are in the middle of a process of choosing, and that process is involving a lot of people. There's a committee of over 50 people that are in the process of choosing a course management system. Anybody in this room on that committee? Uh-oh, that's not good. I am. I should hopefully give you some hope. What they're doing is we've canvassed the state through surveys. There have been, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the structure, but we have done a lot of work asking people about their course management systems. We've looked at what people have, and it's just not an overwhelming, the colleges are not overwhelming in any one of the course management systems. So there are about 4 that hit the top, but nobody's really got the whole market share, so it leaves it pretty wide open. We're not choosing because it's something we already have. And I've been really strong about this, and I will stay strong about it, or they can fire me, because I'm retired. And that is that we need what's best for students, period. That's what we need. And what's missing? The big piece that's missing is the ability for our students to connect. The ability for them to communicate with each other and with you in a way that makes sense to them and we can use. That's what's missing. We're in a box. In all of these course management systems, we're in a box. We have to pick the tools that are there. And we can do that, and that's fine. And I can use all the tools in any of the course management systems. And let me tell you, they're all really similar. Okay, they're all really similar. There's not a lot of difference. We are the 800-pound gorilla, I've been told. And we should be able to get whoever we choose to do what we want them to do. And that's our plan. And the way I look at it, I've been fighting for this learning environment and not a course management system. A place where students can have a social media space that's safe, that doesn't make us violate FERPA laws and all that kind of stuff, that we can use. So when you have an inkling that you want to send your students outside to do something outside because the tool is good, you can do it inside with that tool. so that you don't have your dean going, you can't do that because it's a FERPA violation. I had a little recording on my phone I started playing for people. You can't do that. I want them to use Facebook. You can't do that unless you have something else they can do if they don't want to. I mean, we don't want that. We want to say this. We want a learning environment that's going to work for our students. And if you remember, I think last year I probably told you that my daughter went through her AA and her bachelor's degree online. When asked what she was missing, what we could do to help her as an online student, she said, I don't have any college friends. Okay? I don't have college friends. And you think about it. She said, you all do, I don't. So if you think about it, where's the community? We're community college. We have trouble getting students to have community on our campuses, but we know that keeps them here. That keeps them coming to school. That gets them to work with each other. Just like we need that help, they need that help too. So if we can build a CMS that does that, we're going to try to engage in a partnership. Okay, that's the big thing. We met with a bunch of experts who were from across the nation who have done a lot of work with course management system design and building and research. And we talked to them and they said, it's not about the functions. It's not about the list of functions. It's about what can they do for you to get your students to work together better with you. Go after something better. Go after something that's adaptable, that's going to grow and change as the technology grows and changes, that's going to want to work with you because you're big enough to do it. And it's not about the money, even, about a course management company getting a bunch of money from us. It's about the status that they can say, we are now hosting the California Community College System, the largest educational system in the world. And so, we're looking at some pretty heavy, I think, some heavy power of being able to choose and to get people to do what we want them to do. We'll see. It keeps me up at night. I worry about that. Your colleges will be able to use that course management system. We're looking at low or no cost, probably low cost. My guess is that we have I would say about $6 million a year to spend on course management system. Maybe more, we'll have to see. It could be less, we don't even know. And we're in the RFP process right now, so if you're going to post this, can you take that little piece out? Because I probably shouldn't have said that. But when you think about $10 million going forward, is that enough for a system-wide course management system? Might be, maybe not. We'll have to see. Okay. So the other things we're doing, well, I think you can go to the next one. I think this is it. This is in a nutshell, and I'm sorry, Rochelle and I have the same slide, actually. Didn't even know it. We use the same picture of in a nutshell. We want to increase the ability of our students to complete their goals. That's the whole thing. That's it. Okay. Very simple. That's what we want to do. Okay, go on. We had 58 colleges respond to a request to be part of the pilot. We didn't even know what the pilot was then. We were just saying, we're going to pilot something. You want to be part of it? And people in the launch team, and I just come on it, people in the launch team said, well, we'll probably get, maybe 15 or 20 colleges? I said, I think you might get more than that. And they went, no, about 15. I went, yeah, okay, fine, 58. Okay. And when they were set for about 15 or 20, and the selection process was determined how they were going to pick people for the pilot and stuff, we had 58. The technology folks up at Butte want to test a new course management system and matriculation stuff for the exchange and all of that stuff, and they wanted 8 colleges to do that with. And I get that. Not 50 colleges testing a technology piece with students. I get 8, but how are we going to tell 58 colleges? Oh, I'm sorry, we're only picking 8. That didn't make any sense to me because now I feel like we're losing the enthusiasm of the 50 other colleges that want to participate. So we worked out an idea. I'll take credit for this idea. So anything that goes wrong with it, you can blame me too. It happened in the shower. And good ideas come in the shower, don't they? Yeah. And or when you're driving, one or the other. And so there's 3 different groups. The student readiness group and the tutoring support group will start piloting solutions in the spring. She says with hope. And what they'll be doing is piloting some student readiness modules that we're having built that start with Smarter Measure. We're going to try Smarter Measure and see if we like it. And that assesses students' ability to take online classes and be okay with being an online student, and sends them to some materials that they might want to catch up on if they're not. And then readiness modules teaching them not only some study skills, but also some skills that you need to have to be a good online student. Those will be posted hopefully in January. We'd like to have them in the pilot colleges by December, but we'd like to post them by January for the whole system. So you'll be able to use those. You'll be able to go online and connect to them. Either have your students connect to them or pull them down for your college and use them that way. So those will be available then, and the readiness folks are going to be testing those in their own course management systems with their own students. And we're using, the things we're looking at are the courses that are CID approved in the associate degree of transfer, because those are articulated. Okay, so we don't have to worry about, if we end up putting those in the exchange, we don't have to worry about them being accepted or not. Articulation was a huge thing that sunk consortia across the nation that were trying to do this from different states. Articulation was the hardest piece. So if we start with courses we already have articulated for the testing, we should be okay. And then we'll start adding in other courses. There's a STEM program, a regional STEM program in the Bay Area that is dealing with engineering that looks like it'd be a really good fit for something like an exchange. Things like that we want to open it up to, but we have to test with something. So that's what we're doing. Tutoring is the same kind of thing. It's happening with a group of 8 colleges in their own course management system with their own courses. They're starting in the spring. And we're going to be selecting a tutoring service, and we've got 3 levels we're looking at right now where we could do a tutoring service for the 24/7 piece and then a connection to your own tutoring center. So you have a platform to deliver tutoring online. So that's what we're asking for. That RFP just went out. And so we should be deciding on those things soon. That was the other thing. One of the things I knew as a person responsible for the Learning Center, setting up online tutoring was hard. And I know that there's been a consortium that Jim's involved with that's worked, but it's hard to set up. And so if you have a platform you can use, that would be great. So that's one of the things we're asking for. And then last, the full launch colleges, the 8 colleges are piloting the Common Course Management System, which we hope to have selected by February. That's our timeline. And we'd like them to start using it in the summer. We don't know if they'll have students in them or not. And I'm not going to promise that, because that would be, I don't want to promise and then not be able to deliver on that promise. So we're hoping to have students for sure in by fall. We don't know if we'll be exchanging those students by fall or if they'll just be in the classes. The exchange involves, think about it, we've got to accept each other's priority registration. We've got to accept each other's verification of residency of the student. We have to accept each other's cut scores. We've got to, all that kind of stuff has to happen. There are agreements that have to be made. The transcript, that's why OpenCC Apply is important. The transcript, a student has a transcript here, not here. Student has a transcript at your college and at Mira Costa, and they want to take a class from Los Rios, they can apply at Mira Costa and then have their application extended to Los Rios. And all of the stuff that goes with that, including the financial aid, that's something we need help with the Chancellor's Office for. The Chancellor's Office has to help us get that financial aid situation nailed down so you can do it. And so through a consortia, you can. So that's the kind of thing we're working on. So there's a lot that has to happen. And if you could imagine, it's this big thing that we're building that's never been built before. And inventing means you try something, and then you add something to it, and you try to make those things fit. And they may fit, and if they do, I sleep better. If they don't fit, then it has to be adjusted so that it does fit. We're starting something completely new. People keep saying, they ask questions, and the questions are like this, and then the answers are like this, and then they ask questions and are upset because we don't have the answers. And honestly, if we had the answers and we didn't ask you, you wouldn't be happy with that. Wouldn't you want to participate in the answer and the questions? You would. But the other piece is we don't have the answers because it's all new. So we're getting to those things slowly, and I humbly request your patience. And try to imagine being me and having to pull all those matriculation things together and keep all these colleges happy and working together. and get all the information to them. We're working on an MOU that is going to be as broad as possible. And I know Jim's going to ask me some questions about that. And it's important that we honor the faculty. Really important. You know, we're not mandating anything, nor do we want to. What we want to do is lower our costs, increase our quality. I think you can go to the next slide. These are the colleges. I'm going to leave that there for just a second. OpenCC Apply was one of the requirements, and unfortunately the San Diego Community College District doesn't use OpenCC Apply. So we're talking about trying to figure out a way to get your students into the exchange. But you could definitely be involved in the Common Course Management System. That's not a problem. And all of the resources, which include training through @ONE being revised to a 10-week training for beginners. Anything that you're missing can be, you can get in a module if you don't need the whole training. We're reviewing all the courses that are in those 3 groups before they are used. And the course reviews, if Katie's going to do a presentation on those, if you're interested in that. The course review comes from a set of standards that were created by the Professional Development Work Group out of the steering committee, and Katz was part of that. So she knows about what's going on with the standards. I think they're really good. Have any of you seen them? They're pretty good. Okay, they're a combination of a variety of things. They're built by us. Anita Crawley, who's on the launch team from out of state, said, why would you take somebody else's standards? You guys have been doing this for a decade. You can build your own, and they're probably going to be better than anybody else's. So far, we've had really good feedback. I'd like feedback on those, and you can go through Katie to give feedback, by the way. She's a reviewer. So you can go to the next. This was a reviewers training that we had here in San Diego 2 weeks ago. It was amazing. And I
was there.
Okay.
what are you looking at? Are you in that? Yeah. There you are. It was really amazing. It was like all of a sudden the OEI was very real. They were going through the standards. They're going to be reviewing courses that are submitted to be in one of the pilots. All the courses that are going to be in the pilots will be reviewed, and they'll be reviewed to be consistent with the standards. And the course review, one of the things that happened to me a few years ago, I try to forget because it has to do with accreditation, but we had our accreditors coming, and they wanted to see online classes. So I put it out there to our faculty. Would you like to have your course? Is it okay if your course is reviewed by the visiting team? And at that time, they let us give them a list of courses. Now they just come in and do whatever they want. But they asked for a list of courses. And I put it out there to our faculty, and out of about 100 online faculty members, about 50 of them said yes. They wouldn't mind, which was stunning to me, just like, wow. But the caveat was, we want you to look at it first. Okay, so I think that good teachers want their courses to be looked at by someone, and they want feedback on how good the course is or what it needs. You know, I think that's something that a good teacher really wants. And so we're providing that to the courses in the pilot, and we're going to try to be providing that ongoing through @ONE. So instead of Quality Matters or having to pay somebody else to do it, we'll be able to do it through @ONE.
When can we get hold of those standards?
The standards are online. I'll show you in just a minute. They're online. And also Katie has them, and Katz does too. They're online, and they're available to anyone. And we're already seeing some amazing things happen with those. People are saying, can we use the standards? Yeah, absolutely. If we're not a course reviewer and we can't go to the course reviewer training, can someone tell us what the training's about? Can we go to the training some other time? Yes, you can. So this is good. If we had 165 people apply to be course reviewers who are qualified to be. 165. And out of those, we picked 30 for this first cohort. We're going to have more, but we picked 30. 30 from 28 different colleges. Already the standards are now moving out into the system. And that's going to, I think, we're going to see that needle go like this just from that. I think we're going to see that happen because you know a well-designed class, ask your students, well-designed classes are what work. And I mean, really, that's probably one of the most important things is to have your course designed well. Doesn't matter what course management system it is. What matters is can the student get in and figure out what they need to do and do it well, and does it teach them? Those are the things that matter. So that was what we were focused on, and I'll let you and your presentation.
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. She'll tell you more about that.
11 to 11.
And I don't think I have much more. Let's see what else I got to go real quick. This is one of the reviewers who said, I am more hopeful than I've been for many years about the future of online education in California community colleges. I am too. And even though it gives me, there's a lot of gray hair under here, a lot more than I've ever had before, but it's worth it. I think it's worth it for our students. Go ahead. The team, we have a great team working now, permanent team, and they're amazing. John Makovich, I don't know if some of you know him from the DE Coordinators Group, is our strategic planning person, and he's really wonderful. Jory Hadsel from the Los Rios District, Bonnie Peters, some of you may know Bonnie, from San Diego CCD, and she's doing student services and is going to try to set up some online advising for our students, have those things be available. Steve Klein is from the K-12. He's a technologist teacher, and he's learning a lot about our system. Sometimes it's easy for him, and sometimes he's learning things the hard way. And we just pat him on the back and say, we like you, Steve. It's going to be okay. And he's at Butte. And then Michelle Pilati and Barbara Olowski Michelle's working on PD. She's former Academic Senate president. It's great to have her there. She's also responsible for CID. So her position is really central, and she's doing a great job. And Barbara is starting our research on basic skills in developmental ed and how we can get our students ready to take courses that don't have prerequisites, for example. And are there things that we can provide for them to help them get ready to take online classes? So that's in our RFA as well. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, we have a big steering committee and work groups going through these things. And those lists you made, we have almost probably, I think I've told you about everything that we're doing pretty much. Are there things on the list that we're not doing? Yes?
So, one of my concerns is the class caps.
Yeah, good question. We haven't solved that one. That's one of the, that's one up here. We know that if the courses are too big, it's a problem. It's a problem for regular effective contact. It's also a problem for the sense of community the student has when they come into the class, which is why we don't think MOOCs would work very well. So what's happening is the consortium colleges will come together and discuss what their class sizes are. We have some research to give them to take a look at that, and they're going to decide for the group of 8 what their class sizes should be, that first full launch group. We will see how that goes. We'll go with whatever they decide to do. We're going to look at the data for the classes before and the data for the classes after and see what happens. Now, that decision is something that can't be made by us. It's a college decision. So it has to be done through a consortium. It's not like I can say, I have my own feelings about it and I'm going to tell you this is what it's going to be. Because we're drawing a line between course design and the content of a course. But there's also the piece of the curriculum committee. And the curriculum committee should be setting the size of a course. And so OEI is not going to compete with the curriculum committee. Okay, it isn't our purview to do that. So your curriculum committee should be working with you, with your Senate, to determine what the optimum class size is for any particular course. Now, I know that there's a break-even situation. I know there's a lot of controversy over what an online class should be. I had a student call me once and say, how come there are no seats in your class? It's online. And I said, yeah, there's only one of me. And so, that's a kind of, we know if they're too big, it's a problem. We know that if people are teaching, 10 online classes and they all have 50 students in them, they're not going to be able to do it. We have no way to track that, by the way, across the state for our part-timers. We have no way to track that. We have people doing that kind of stuff. We have no way of knowing who they are. But if you look at a class that has too many students in it, way too many students in it, I can tell you a lot of those processes are automated. And if the regular effective contact is automated, then you're going to be in trouble with me, because that's one of those things that I hold. So do we have any time left for questions, or I mean, just yacked away? We do, okay, because I can do that. So, yeah.
So last year when you were the keynote speaker, you talked about MOOCs.
And so I want to know what's going on with that and what are your feelings this year about it?
Okay, the MOOC that we did, we were doing one at the time, and it was the the foundational writing class, and it's had over 300,000 students in it. Not at the same time, and it is an amazing resource, and it's been developed really well into a resource. I think for us, for our uses, it can be a resource. I don't know what's going to happen. I know that some universities are now working with Coursera and some of those companies, edX and stuff, and they are in a financial arrangement with them. And they've brought the size of the class down, and they're using authentication tools to determine that the student is the student, and they have curriculum oversight. They're starting to change it, but they're still huge classes. They're still really big classes. So I don't know. We're going to have to watch. It's calmed down a lot. I think for our purposes, the resource is really great. Our class, that Crafting an Effective Writer class, that's foundational writing, all of the videos have been moved. They're still there in the class, and the class still happens once a semester. But they are available for you to download or use through the NROC, the National Repository for Online Classes, site, and it's their Hippocampus site that's in Monterey. It's online, so if you just Googled NROC, N-R-O-C, at Hippocampus, you could get there. Those modules are available, and they're making more of them. The two instructors who did those videos are now making 30 of them for NROC. It's kind of the Khan Academy for writing. So that's very cool to come out of it. So, yeah.
National Repository for Online Courses?
Online courses, yeah. Jim.
So,
about success and retention rates and that they have to go up. My question is to what? I mean,
No, I don't think that there is a ceiling, and I don't think that they have to go up.
Yeah, I mean, just
They should go
how
up.
badly are they bad? And where do you start to
They're
feel
bad.
good?
They're bad. I think I would start to feel good when both the face-to-face and the online come up above 75%. I would start to feel better when that happens. But, we have, the difference isn't that great. Right. And I don't like what the face-to-face success and retention is. And I'll tell you this, and how many of you are math teachers? One. If you took math out of the online figures, they'd be a lot better.
Yeah. Well, it's not just math. I mean, there's certain disciplines where it's way
Foreign language,
behind.
math. Think about those two disciplines. They are hard to teach face-to-face. Those are things that people stop at for all kinds of reasons. So why not help those teachers? Let's bring them all together and say, what are the best practices that you're using in teaching math online? Let's see if we can change that. Rather than, we'll just take all the math out and not have it. A former friend of mine who was I don't mean he's a former friend, former colleague. He's not a colleague anymore. Anyway. Cut that out too. You got to take that out too. Just decided that all the math courses would be pulled from the online program and didn't tell me. And I said, you don't get to do that. Well, but the successive retention is low. And I said, that's not the way to fix it. Because we have online degrees, fully online degrees that we are advertising. So you don't get to do that. But what we do need to do is look at the problem. If you're having a hard time teaching math online, you need help. You need instructional design support bigger than anybody. I think our foreign language teachers need instructional design support as well. They need tools. They need equipment. There's a lot of stuff that they need in order to be able to teach a difficult subject like that well. I also invite you to take a look at a couple of things that I've been looking at lately, totally off the topic, but I want to tell you about them. Angela Duckworth, if you go to her TED Talk, it's Angela Lee Duckworth, and combine that with Carol Dweck. You guys know Carol Dweck? Some of you? All right. So Carol Dweck talks about confidence, right? About students having confidence and the mindset to learn. And Angela talks about motivation and volition. Okay? The motivation and the willingness. Duckworth, TED Talks, TED.com, and Angela Duckworth. Duckworth. Just like it sounds.
who's the other one?
Carol Dweck. D-W-E-C-K. Carol Dweck we know from our basic skills stuff. We've been looking at that for a long time. But what Angela Duckworth does, she's got a test online to test your students' motivation and volition when it comes to learning. And it's really kind of cool because they're dumb questions. You're going, really, that tests it? But evidently it does. And so I keep thinking if we put those three things together, students are going to do better. So I've been working a lot at thinking about those three things and how do we do that online? Not very well. Because some of the things we say that we don't have any control over is the student's life, what they bring to the table. We don't have any control over that, but we haven't tried. And I think that might be one of the other reasons we're not seeing that needle move. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Yeah.
Questions about accreditation and taking a classroom course and moving it to online. I had a great supervisor who did that for me. Now she's gone, and I was told by my dean that, oh, we can't do that because we don't know how. So there's courses that should be online in my department, but there's no one there to do it. How do I learn how to help in that process?
Okay, I think there's a couple things you can do. First of all, you can start connecting with that one. Because as these new courses come in, you'll be able to take them, and those we want to be free. So we want @ONE. It's the @ONE. Okay, it's onefortraining.org, and both Katz and Katie have the information to get you in touch with them. But by next fall, we should have the certification ready to go, and those classes hopefully will be free. We want them to be free for everybody. We know they'll be free for the pilot colleges, but we'd like them to be free for everybody. And I think that's one of the things we'll be able to do, that shouldn't be a problem with the money. We're hoping that that's it.
And this may be a college thing and not your thing, but is there any chatter of going to 10-week semesters instead of 17-week semesters and doing a 5-semester?
And that's totally up to you. I mean, that's up to your college.
Okay.
That's up to your
Nothing
college.
to do with you.
Yeah, no.
Hold on. So we're running a little late, and if it's okay with this group that we push the schedule back like 10 minutes so that we can take full advantage of Pat, if everybody's okay with that, I'll let it go.
Everybody's taking advantage of me. I don't know what that
Okay? It's okay? 10 minutes? Okay.
You guys want to do that? Is that all right? Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So there's concern among our faculty, some of us, about centralized education. So what of this is centralized and what of this isn't? Like I hear you saying things like it doesn't matter what length your semester is, but then I hear
No, I'm
there's
not saying it doesn't matter.
standards. So yeah, so what about this is going to be centralized and what's not?
I think the resources will be centralized. The course management system will be available and centralized. There's no mandates. The resources will be centralized. Right now, the way we do courses, faculty member builds it, faculty member teaches it, it's all one. Okay? And that's the way we've done it in our system for a really long time. My guess is that's the way we're going to start this project and the way that it's really going to go for the most part. But what I would like to see, for example, there are very few research classes, psychology research classes. And we need that class. Okay, so research methodology for psychology. There's very few of those. So what Michelle Pilati and I have been talking about, both of us have psych backgrounds, is what if we brought a team, what if we paid a team of good psychology teachers to come together and build a great online research class. And we put it in a repository for anybody to take and use. And they could take that shell with that stuff and use it any way they want. What I don't want to see is, I don't want to see us have cookie cutter courses, because I think that would give us cookie cutter students. And I don't like that idea. We own the course in the repository. Once you take it and use it, it's yours. Okay. So, we have no interest in taking away faculty rights of any kind.
Pat?
Yes.
So how much of the local governance will be applied to those courses on the exchange? Class size,
Right now, it's up to the college, whatever the college brings in. Yeah. The only thing that may change is the class size based on, and we don't even know that yet. We've just started those conversations. But they'll only be in the full launch, based on the full launch. Because what we're really interested in is making sure that the exchange, when we start exchanging students, that works. I'm not interested in experimenting with our students.
But even the class size wouldn't overrun the local governance process for
No.
approving that.
No.
Somebody would have to come to the college and say, this is what we need if you want to participate.
Absolutely.
If you want to do it, and the college would still have to go through whatever process it has, whether a union negotiation or governance or
Absolutely.
or whatever.
That would also mean the intellectual property rights.
Intellectual property rights too, except we don't have, we don't want to own, if your class is in the exchange, we don't want to own it. That's not, even if we pay for instructional design support and stuff, what that does is make the courses at your college better. If we come in with accessibility support and help you make your class more accessible, we're making your class better for the students at your college. So, that's the purpose of this, is to really make it better for our students, that nutshell piece. That's the purpose. One more question.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, wait, someone who hasn't asked? Wait. Okay, you've asked? Yeah, go ahead.
So what is your long-term goal initiative about online initiative? Is it to have a lot more online classes? Do they foresee that online will take over the regular?
Online isn't, come on.
Well, because the reason
12
I'm
years
asking,
later, has it taken over our face-to-face program?
I'm saying this because a lot
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
faculty, that's, they're always against the online. Every
Yeah.
time you bring in, let's do this online, they
Since
don't like it there. They're
19,
concerned. And all these millions, when they see all these millions being put there, they might be thinking, okay, you see, this
It's
is
for access. The reason the money was put there was to provide more courses for students. That's why it was put there. But the above purpose of that is completion. How long does it take right now for a student to get through a program at your college? And what are the reasons for that?
Can I
That's
to that just really quickly?
Yeah.
I think pretty much every face-to-face instructor should still have an online companion to their class.
Yeah.
And so, and probably a lot more people do that now. So any online class that's been developed can be used for a strictly on-site class, giving students access to resources, PowerPoints, material that the teacher's not having to reproduce over and over and over again.
Think about
So
where
this
you-
opens
yeah.
it up to face-to-face instructors, not just online instruction.
Yeah. But I know what you're saying. You're talking about the resistance. And resistance is futile. Yeah, it's not. In 1993, I was teaching teachers how to use computers in the classroom, and they thought that computers were going to take over and they wouldn't have jobs anymore. And most of them are retiring now from long careers of teaching. We're the ones that make it happen. If we give that up, that's why I have an issue with publisher content. Because if we give that up, then we might as well go home, forget it. There won't be a need for teachers anymore. Who would do it? I don't know. But, I just think that it's us. It's what we bring. It's the passion that we bring. It's the caring for our students. It's, the desire to help someone do better in their life. That's what it is. We're not here for, I'm sorry, are you here for money? Because you have a living, you make a living, and it's a decent living, and I feel that we're fortunate. But I don't live in that big old house in Atherton, or you're in San Diego even. I don't live in a mansion. I drive a little Outback. I retired on a very slim retirement. I didn't do this for the money. I have another daughter who just came back from 5 years working for Time Warner Cable as phone service. And she is now at the front desk in the DSPS office at Mount San Jacinto College as a temporary worker, making just a smidge above minimum wage. And she has a 4-year-old, so I really hope she gets a better job soon. But when I asked her, she was offered a job at the college working with teachers. And she said, I don't want to do that. I like working with students. She said, I like being able to really help people. She said, I just come to work every day really excited about helping people. She said, I had no idea how much fun it could be to help people. And her friends in the office say, yeah, that'll go away after a while. And she goes, no, it's what I want to do. It's what you want to do too. You know, you wouldn't be here today because no one's making you, I don't think. So you wouldn't be here today if you didn't want to help people. So keep that going. And watch the OEI. You can email me if you have any questions. Please let me know if you're worried about anything that you hear. Lots of rumors all the time, rumors going on, and there's just, you know, people arguing about it should be this way and it should be this way and it should be that way. Well, yeah, let's put all that together and make it should be all of that. So this is our opportunity. We're never going to see this opportunity again. This is an amazing opportunity we're going to have to jump on, which is why I'm not sitting on the sidelines. So.
Thank you so much, Pat. And